The Life and Acts of Saint Patrick by Jocelin. Chapter 161. A certain man is healed, and a horse revived, in a place which is called Feart. A certain illustrious man, named Darius, gave unto Saint Patrick at his request a dwelling place together with a small field, whither he might betake himself with the fellowship of his holy brethren. And this was a small place near Ardmachia, in modern time called the Feast of Miracles. And after a season, the charioteer of Darius sent his horse into this field, there to pasture during the night, the which when on the morrow he would lead forth of the field, found he dead. Which when Darius heard, he was moved with wrath, and preventing all excuse, all delay, all revocation, commanded that Patrick should be slain, as the slayer of his horse. But scarcely had the word issued from his lips, when lo, suddenly came on him a monitory, nay, a minatory weakness of death, and cast him on his sickbed, and as suddenly were his feet which were prompt unto mischief, and his hands which were accustomed unto evil, recalled from the shedding of innocent blood, for misery alone gave him understanding. Which things being told unto the saint, he bade that the steed and the man should be sprinkled with water which had been blessed of him, and being so sprinkled, each arose, the horse from death, and Darius from the bed of sickness. Chapter 162. Of the vessel which was given unto Saint Patrick, and again taken from him. And Darius being thus healed, sent unto the saint by the hands of his servants a large brazen vessel, the which contained thrice 12 gallons, and was most needful unto him and his companions for the dressing of their food. And he, much requiring such a vessel, kindly received it, yet said he only, This, I thank him. And the servants, returning unto their master, when he inquired of the saint's answer, replied that he said nothing other than, I thank him. Then Darius thereat wondering, accused the saint of rashness and of rudeness, yet desiring to try the virtue of the word, commanded that they should take the vessel from Patrick and bring it back again. Which when they did, the saint, as he was thereto accustomed in his words and in works, said, I thank him. And again Darius demanded what Patrick had this time said, and hearing that even then he had only spoken as before, I thank him, and admiring and understanding his firmness, pronounced he the saint to be a man of consummate constancy, and that the word of his mouth was most excellent. Truly, said he, this is a magnanimous man and of unalterable mind, whose countenance and whose word could not be changed, whether the vessel be given unto him or taken from him, but ever do they continue the same. Then did he, following his servants, salute the saint with appeasing speech, and gave unto him a field near his dwelling place, about which dispute might possibly have arisen. Chapter 163. Ardmachia is given unto Saint Patrick, and a fountain is produced out of the earth. And after a short time the noble Darius, that he might show unto the saint yet greater favour, brought him out of a low place unto a place which was high, from a narrow dwelling unto one which was spacious and fair, which was foreshown unto him by an angelic miracle, at that time named Druim-Salic, but which is now called Ardmachia. And Saint Patrick, considering the pleasantness and convenience of the place, and walking around it, found therein a doe lying down with her fawn, which they who accompanied the saint willed to slay, but this the pious father would in no wise suffer to be done. And that he might show the bowels of pity, which he had unto God's creatures, he bore the fawn in his own arms, and caressed and cherished it, and carried it unto a park at the northern side of Ardmachia, and the doe, even as the tamest sheep, followed the compassionate bearer of her youngling, until he placed it down at her side. And on that day did the saint, for the praise of God and for the benefit of the people, bring forth out of the earth by his prayers, even for the 7th time, a clear fountain. Chapter 164. The saint beholdeth a vision of angels, and cureth 16 lepers. When the lamp of the daily light was extinguished in the shades of nocturnal darkness, the man of God beheld in a vision of the night angels measuring the form and the extent of the city which was to be builded in that high place, and one of the angels enjoined him, that on the morrow he should go unto the fountain near Ardmachia, which is now called Tuba Patraic, that is, the fountain of Patrick, and there he should heal in the name of the Lord 16 lepers, who were come thither from many places to experience the mercy of the Lord, and to receive his faith. And Patrick obeyed the voice of the angel, and early in the morning he found those men, and by his preaching he converted them unto the faith, and being converted, he baptized them in that fountain, and when baptized, he purified them from the leprous taint of either man. And this miracle when published abroad, was accounted a fair presage and a present sanction of the future city. And the angel, at the prayers of Patrick, removed far from thence an exceeding huge stone which lay in the wayside, and which could not be raised by the labour or the ingenuity of man, lest it should be an hindrance to passengers approaching the city. Chapter 165. Of the city of Ardmachia, and 12 of its citizens. Then Patrick founded, according to the direction of the angels, a city, fair in its site, its form, and its ambit, and when by the divine assistance it was completed, he brought to dwell therein 12 citizens, whom he had from all parts diligently and discreetly chosen, and these he instructed in the Catholic doctrines of the Christian faith. And he beautified the city with churches builded after a becoming and spiritual fashion, and for the observance of divine worship, for the government of souls, and for the instruction of the Catholic flock, he appointed therein clerical persons, and he instituted certain monasteries filled with monks, and others filled with nuns, and placed them under the regulations of all possible perfection. And in one of these monasteries was a certain brother, who would not take either food or drink before the hour appointed by the saint, and he perished of thirst, and Patrick beheld his soul ascending into heaven, and placed among the martyrs. And in the convent of the Handmaidens of God, was a certain virgin, the daughter of a British king, with 9 other holy damsels, who had come with her unto St. Patrick, and of these, 3 in his presence went unto heaven. And in this city placed he an archiepiscopal cathedral, and determined in his mind that it should be the chief metropolis, and the mistress of all Hibernia, and that this his purpose might remain fixed and by posterity unaltered, he resolved to journey unto the apostolic seat, and confirm it with authentic privileges. Chapter 166. At the direction of the angels St. Patrick goeth unto Rome. And the angel of the Lord appearing unto Patrick, approved the purpose of his journey, and showed him that the Pope would bestow and divide among many churches the relics of the apostles Peter and Paul, and of many saints. And as carriages were haply then wanting unto him, the angels provided him with 4 chariots, as if sent from heaven, the which conveyed him and his people unto the seaside. Then the glorified prelate Patrick, after that the urgency of his laborious preaching was finished, and the abundance of so many and so great miracles had converted the whole island, blessed and bade farewell to the several bishops and presbyters and other members of the church whom he had ordained, and with certain of his disciples, led by his angelic guide, he sailed toward Rome. Whither arriving, while in the presence of the Supreme Pontiff he declared the cause of his coming, supreme favor he found in his eyes, for, embracing and acknowledging him as the Apostle of Hibernia, he decorated the saint with the pall, and appointing him his legate, by his authority confirmed whatsoever Patrick had done, appointed or disposed therein. And many parting presents, and precious gifts, which pertained unto the beauty, nay, unto the strength of the Church, did the Pope bestow on him, whereamong were certain relics of the Apostles Peter and Paul, and of Stephen the proto-martyr, and of many other martyrs, and moreover, gave he unto the saint a linen cloth, which was marked with the blood of our Lord the Saviour Jesus Christ. Gift excelling all other gifts. And with these most holy honours the saint being returned unto Hibernia, fortified there with this metropolitan church of Ardmachia unto the salvation of souls and the safety of the whole nation, and reposited them in a chest behind the great altar. And in that church even from the time of St. Patrick the custom obtained that on the days of the Passover and of the Pentecost these relics should be there outproduced, and venerated in the presence of the people. Chapter 167. The Acts of St. Patrick while returning from Rome. But the miracles which St. Patrick wrought, when going to Rome, or returning thence, or after he had returned, are beyond our ability to relate either one by one or all together. For wheresoever he remained through the night, or made any abiding, left he behind him the proofs of his sanctity, in the healing of some diseased person, inasmuch as churches and oratories which were builded in those places and entitled after his name are yet to be seen, and which even to this day are redolent of his holiness, and impart the benefit of his miracles to many who sought the same with the desert of faith. And in his return he some time abided in his own country of Britain, and founded there many monasteries, and rebuilded many others which had been destroyed of the heathens, and he filled them with convents of holy monks who assented unto that form of religion which he thereto appointed. Many events also, prosperous and adverse, which were to happen unto Britain, did he prophesy in the Spirit, and especially he foresaw and foretold the holiness of the blessed David, who was then in his mother's womb. For there were many country places and towns, the inhabitants whereof rudely drove away the saint while journeying, lest he should abide the night among them, and these and their posterity could never prosper or become rich therein, but strangers and aliens always possessed of them the wealth and the dominion. But the groves into which the saint was by those wicked ones driven to pass the night, and which before produced but few and fruitless copses, were seen, by the blessing of such a holy guest, to thicken and to flourish with so great abundance of trees that in no future time could they be entirely destroyed. And in the rivers, where the deceivers, fraudful both in heart and word, had shown unto the saint a deep abyss instead of a safe ford, passed he over safely, having first blessed the passage, and changed the abyss into a ford, and the ford which before was pervious unto all changed he unto a deep abyss. Chapter 168. The Acts of St. Patrick after he had returned. And after his long journey was finished, he consoled his people with his presence, and he appointed unto the Lord's field 30 bishops which he had chosen and in foreign countries had consecrated, for that the harvest was many, and the labourers few. Therefore began he the more frequently to assemble holy synods of bishops, to celebrate solemn councils, and whatsoever he found contrary to the ecclesiastical institutes or the Catholic faith, that did he take away and annul, and whatsoever he found accordant to the Christian law, to justice, or to the sacred canons, and consonant to good morals, that did he direct and sanction. And daily he shone with innumerable miracles, and whatsoever with his lips he appointed or taught, that did he confirm by most signal miracles, whence it came to pass that all deservedly admired him, by whose kindness all the inhabitants of that island are through ages blessed, as in the sequel more fully shall we endeavour to show. Chapter 169. Of the threefold plagues of Hibernia. Even from the time of its original inhabitants, did Hibernia labour under a threefold plague, a swarm of poisonous creatures, whereof the number could not be counted, a great concourse of demons visibly appearing, and a multitude of evil doers and magicians. And these venomous and monstrous creatures, rising out of the earth and out of the sea, so prevailed over the whole island that they not only wounded men and animals with their deadly sting, but slayed them with cruel bitings, and not seldom rent and devoured their members. And the demons, who by the power of idolatry dwelled in superstitious hearts, showed themselves unto their worshippers in visible forms, often likewise did they, as if they were offended, injure them with many hurts, unto whom, being appeased with sacrifices, offerings, or evil works, they seemed to extend the grace of health or of safety, while they only ceased from doing harm. And after was beheld such a multitude of these, flying in the air or walking on the earth, that the island was deemed incapable of containing so many, and therefore was it accounted the habitation of demons, and their peculiar possession. Likewise the crowd of magicians, evil-doers, and soothsayers had therein so greatly increased as the history of not any other nation doth instance. Chapter 170. The threefold plague is driven out of Hibernia by Saint Patrick. And the most holy Patrick applied all his diligence unto the extirpation of this threefold plague, and at length by his salutary doctrine and fervent prayer he relieved Hibernia of the increasing mischief. Therefore he, the most excellent pastor, bore on his shoulder the staff of Jesus, and aided of the angelic aid, he by its combinatory elevation gathered together from all parts of the island all the poisonous creatures into one place, then compelled he them all unto a very high promontory, which then was called Cruachan, but now Cruachan Fordruig, and by the power of his word he drove the whole pestilent swarm from the precipice of the mountain headlong into the ocean. O eminent sign! O illustrious miracle! Even from the beginning of the world unheard, but now experienced by tribes, by peoples, and by tongues, known unto all nations, but to the dwellers in Hibernia especially needful. And at this marvellous yet most profitable sight, a numerous assembly was present, many of whom had flocked from all parts to behold miracles, many to receive the word of life. Then turned he his face toward Mania, and the other islands which he had imbued and blessed with the faith of Christ and with the holy sacraments, and by the power of his prayers he freed all these likewise from the plague of venomous reptiles. But other islands, the which had not believed at his preaching, still accursed with the procreation of those poisonous creatures. And he converted innumerable evil-doers unto the faith, but many who continued obstinate, and hardened in their perverseness, he destroyed from the face of the earth, as we have already recorded, and from the men of Hibernia, whom he made servants unto the true and living God, prayed he of the Lord that the visions of the demons and their wonted injuries should be driven away, and he obtained his prayer.